is our regularly scheduled action meeting. We are also being presented proclamations to outstanding students. The meeting is being videotaped for community cable channels. Individuals attending this meeting and intending to speak to the board should be aware that they are being videotaped. In order to meet the requirements of the Pennsylvania Sunshine Law, it is necessary to record the names of all citizens who speak to the board during the meeting. To assure compliance with this requirement, it is essential that those planning to address the board come to the microphone and state their name and address. Members of the audience are asked to limit their questions and comments to no more than 5 minutes. This limit will permit time for all those who wish to speak to the board to do so, and whenever members of the audience exceed this time limit, the board president may ask the individual to yield the microphone to the next speaker. This is in reference to board policy 8344.2. Okay. Solicitor Bartle, if you lead us in the pledge, please.
What you get for being late? That's right.
Yeah.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Leborowski and members of the audience, please take note that at 7 o'clock this evening there was an executive session for purposes of personnel. It began at 7 o'clock and ended at 7:35. And for those citizens in attendance, we apologize for being late. Again, I'd like to also take the time, second time I guess it is, to welcome Mrs. Terry Bukowski onto the board and wish her to stay with us this year to be a healthy and helpful one. Short and sweet. Short and sweet, she confirms. Thank you, Mrs. Bukowski.
Thank you.
Okay, members of the board, I recommend approval of the minutes of the 772nd meeting held on 11/19/98 as circulated. Motion by Hill, second by Schilling. Questions? All in favor say aye. Opposed nay. Thank you. Recommend approval of the minutes of the 33rd annual reorganization meeting held on 12/7/98 as circulated.
So moved, one abstention.
Motion by Schilling,
Second.
second by Sierpinski. On the second motion, all in favor say aye.
Question?
Question? No?
Okay.
In relationship to the board president's vote and also the other polled officers' vote, it's my understanding from when we had a discussion both at the state audit and also under the formation of the new policy that whenever there were polled votes, we were to list the individual board votes as cast. And the minutes that I have here state the 5 votes and say 2 nays, but however, there's no designation of the individual roll call votes as they occurred from the board members. And I just have to be sure that we're not going to have another citation as we did in the earlier report this fall.
Solicitor.
The minutes should accurately reflect the vote that was actually made by the individual. So if someone voted yes, it should be so noted, and if someone voted no, it should be so noted. If someone abstained, that should be so noted as well.
Right, and there was 5 before, and it states the numbers, but not those individual votes, and I thought it should be amended before we approve them, so we don't repeat that.
That's fine. The minutes should accurately reflect who voted in which manner.
And that would be also true of the board vacancy vote. That was also even 6-1. It states who opposed the vote, but it doesn't. Should it also name the ayes? Or is it okay just to state the one opposed the vote?
Well, I don't have that exact document in front of me, but
I just know those 2 stood out.
if by implication you can see who voted affirmatively. You can see who was there, and if it says that all voted in favor with the exception of who cast a negative vote, that would be fine. Just so that when you read through the minutes in its entirety, you can tell in which manner everyone voted.
Then in the president's vote, we would need to designate either name the ayes versus the nays, or at least the nays, so that can be determined, correct?
Yeah, as long as
There's
in
no
reading
names listed.
as long as in reading the whole minutes that you can accurately determine who voted yes and who voted no.
That should
Will it be
be
amended?
that should be all votes, correct? Not just
That
All
is
roll call.
roll call votes.
All
Yeah.
votes. That's correct. All
Mr.
votes.
Schilling, do you amend?
Yes.
Mr. Sierpinski, do you amend your second?
Yes.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. An abstention? Mrs. Bukowski. Recommend approval of the minutes of the work session held on 12/7/98 as circulated.
So moved.
Motion by Hill,
Second.
second by Mosey. Questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. Okay, ladies and
And
gentlemen.
one abstention.
One abstention. Sorry, Mr. Kessler.
Get with the program, Terry.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen,
That's
this
the
time
last
we
abstention.
have some very important students that we wish to honor and award this evening. And this time with Coach Jarrows, please come forward. Coach Jarrows.
Say it into the microphone.
Please come. He's right there. Coach Jarrows, thank you.
You want to get airtime.
Right here, and ladies, if you come through, come around. Oh, certainly. Ladies all the way around and line up next to your coach. Don't be nervous.
Be nervous.
It's only television.
Really, you're good.
Okay, Coach.
I am subbing in for Coach Crawford tonight. He always does an excellent job of introducing his girls. Sorry I can't give you all the volumes of anecdotes and awards that this group has won this season. They've done an outstanding job. League champions, district champions. Just another incredible year for North Penn Girls Cross Country. We have with us tonight, first, Cynthia Benham. Renee Blanchette. Katrina Brown. And Susan Lander.
Who's the last name? You got you.
Wouldn't that be embarrassing? That'd be a nightmare. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies, it's a tradition here that you come around and shake the hand of board members and members of the administration. We always feel that someday you might be famous, and we want to be able to say we shook your hand. Folks, another round of applause for this fun. They say they run 7 to 8 miles a day, and Don Hill started to wheeze. Just thinking about it, he was wheezing.
In the morning.
Do we have something for Coach? The young gentleman, yes.
On the way over, I was thinking how it's a rare honor and privilege to be able to introduce someone to the board who has done so well at the state meet. And I thought, geez, in the last 3 seasons, this will be the 3rd time he's been here. And I thought again, well, that's still a rare honor and privilege to be able to coach someone through several years in several different sports, cross country and spring track, and have him qualify and do well and win honors at the state level. Last year's team cross country, last year spring track, gold medal in the 4x8 relay. This year, 7th place at the state cross country meet. Speaks volumes for the work that this young man has put in to his sport. As a leader, as an athlete, help to younger athletes. We had a very young team this year. He did it all. I'd like to introduce Zach Webb.
You don't have to walk all the way around. You can just start right here at the end. Folks, a hearty round of applause.
Coach, on behalf of the district, I'd like to thank you also for all the hard work that you put into this sport. Obviously, the talent of our students are quite evident, but the talent of students don't occur without also the good coaching, and we appreciate it over a number of years. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Coach Bartle.
At this time, I'd like to introduce the boys varsity water polo team. This year's boys water polo team placed first in the Southern Division and also placed second at the state championship held at Governor Mifflin on November 6th. The first team member is Jeremy Bergman. Jeremy received first team All-State honors this year. Second team member is Chris Craig. Chris received second team All-State honors this year. The next member, John Fakish. Steve Fleming. Matt Gibson. Dan Glancy. Jason Grubb. Jason was third team All-State this year. Tim Kronstan. Derek Myerson. Derek was honorable mention All-State this year. Steve Pasquale. It's a water sport. Devin Philibom. And our last team member, Steve Philibom, and Steve was also first team All-State this year.
They must be related.
Congratulations. By the way, Ms. Liberowski, did you make sure this young man gets a copy of that tape? I would like this young man to leave this school district with a copy of that tape, among his many other awards. Somebody here, I don't know who it was, said you can't teach a fish to walk. we thought this was a football team, and I'm thinking, oh, what did Hill do now? Now what? Gentlemen, please come around and shake our hands. We'd be so honored.
Watch your step.
Watch it.
Guys aren't getting attention. Ms. Liberacki is Derek Meyerson for that film. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for this film. Dr. Hassler, if you'd say a few words to Coach Bartle, I've done it so many times, it's your turn.
Well, I was just going to say, it's nice to see Bill back here every year. Seems like he's a constant returnee, and again, just another indicator of the quality staff that we have at North Penn. And again, we appreciate all that you put into this, because we know there's many, many hours that go into this. He tries to keep getting me into the pool, and after looking at that team, no way. So
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Junis.
I think we could get Bob in the pool.
May not get me out.
I don't see a problem there.
Not without his little flippers and stuff.
Okay, over the course of this season, the girls have compiled a 21-1 record, and they had gone on to win the Pennsylvania State Championship for the first time. And our first member of our team is Laura DeLuigi, who received first team All-State honors. Julie Good. Rebecca Grant. Monica Hatchin, who received second team All-State honors. With third team All-State honors, Ashley Jernigan. And Brittany Jernigan. Jen Morelli. Katie Pluinski. Nicole Seward. With first team All-State honors, Andrea Umloff. And our last member is Lindsay Whitmer.
Okay, ladies, come around. Coach Eunice, I'd like to point out that despite heels this high and this thick, not one of Oh, don't go away. Dr. Astor has something to say.
Again, this is another example why it's really great to work in this school district, being able to interact with professionals like Denise. Just it's a good feeling every day, and knowing that our young people are in their hands, is not only in coaching and in sports, but also learning a good education too through the sports. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think Coach Eunice needs to recommend to Coach Bartle that some of those fellas get those big shoes and see if that doesn't help a little bit. Okay. Just a few minutes for folks to be able to get up, meet with their kids, adjust their seats. We'll get the doors in the back closed. Mr. Kowski, isn't that a little different from when you were last year? Okay, thank you. Committee reports, facilities, buildings, and grounds. Mr. Mosey.
Thank you, Madam President. We had our last, can everyone hear me?
No.
How about now? We had the Buildings and Facilities Committee meeting on November 24th. Some items that were discussed there you will see on your agenda tonight coming forth for approval. Just to update you that we are enrolled and will begin PPL service on January the 1st, 1999. And we are looking at an estimated savings of somewhere in the neighborhood of $225,000 on our electric bill next year. You will see tonight that there is a deduct change order for the tank replacement, which will be in the neighborhood of $56,000 savings, which should go back to the bonds, since bonds was used to pay for that. The asbestos abatement at NAP in the boiler room was completed over the Thanksgiving holiday. The elementary electrical upgrades have been started at Nash, Walton Farm, Gwynedd Square, and Inglewood, and was alerted by Mr. Wood at our meeting that we may have some change orders coming forward at a later date. You also see on tonight's agenda that there is a request to get rid of some surplus equipment and engage Billsmeyer, who we have engaged in the past to handle this for us. There's also a question of looking at the possible repair to the multi-purpose room at Gwen North. A purchase order has been issued. It did not come for the board for approval because it's under $10,000. Looking to replace some of the basketball backboard equipment at the high school, which is over 20 years old, and we have some concern that we may be getting in a dangerous situation, but we haven't gotten anything back. As Mr. Wood said to me, these people are very specialized, and sometimes you have better get a hold of a neurosurgeon than you can getting a hold of these people. Under the superintendent's report this evening, we will recommend an engineering firm to provide engineering services for the Englewood Elementary driveway upgrade. And again, the board will be requested to act on the deduct change orders for our tank replacements at Hatfield, Nash, North Wales Elementary Schools. You want me to go right into the high school expansion, Madam President? or
Yes, sir,
you want
thank
me
you.
to- Brickwork is completed on the court side of the building, and windows will be installed beginning next week. The masons will now complete the brickwork on the east side of the building. Permanent windows have been installed in the health suite. Ceramic tile in the first floor bathrooms will begin on December 21st, 1998. Drywall work is 100% complete on the first floor, 95% complete on the second floor, and 90% complete on the third floor. The cast stone coping along the roof edge of the Audion will be installed beginning next week. End of report, Madam President.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, Mr. Moser, please? Brown? Okay, thank you. NAP expansion, Mr. Schulman.
Yes, the masonry work has been completed in all areas. Plaster work continues on the exterior above the brickwork. The Facilities Department is in the process of moving the existing library to a new instructional materials center. This is a major transition, and the NAP staff provides endless assistance and cooperation with the move. It is our intention to operate out of the new facility when we return from our winter break. The HVAC, plumbing, and electrical contractors continue to install new mechanical systems. It is our goal to use the new boiler on or about December 30th, 1998. Interior demolition of the old library area and the cafeteria will be done prior to the return of students on January 4th, 1999. End of report.
Any questions of Mr. Schulman? Around? Okay, community services and policy, Mr. Straczynski.
Community Relations and Policy Committee held its last meeting on December 3rd. At that meeting, we discussed the final approval from the committee, or final recommendation to approve the nepotism policy for final adoption tonight as distributed. Also, the Community Relations and Policy Committee had final discussions on the Taxpayer Bill of Rights and the format of the Taxpayers Appeal Board. The committee recommends to the full board the following format. The board will consist of 3 board members appointed by the president. The law requires that we set a rate of compensation for the appeals board. The committee recommends that we set the rate of compensation at 0. The law requires we set the length or term for the appeal board service. The committee recommends that this term or service will not exceed 1 year. Also, the Community Relations and Policy Committee also received an update on the district's Year 2000 project. The committee asked that the project team distribute monthly updates from the administration to the full board and make them available for the public. End of report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Straczynski. Can we also anticipate coming maybe from your committee, a motion this evening under other business to appoint members of the tax advisory committee?
That is our intent, to appoint the tax advisory committee tonight.
Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Straczynski? Any questions? Okay, thank you, sir. Under same category, redistricting task force, Mr. Edelman.
Since the initial presentation on redistricting at a board work session on December 7th, 1998, 2 public input sessions have been held. One on Thursday, December 10th, and another on Monday, December 14th. Questions and comments raised at these meetings have been compiled, and the committee has met as late as this afternoon to review the ideas and suggestions that were presented. The committee will present new information that has been gathered to the board at a public work session on Tuesday, January 12th, 1999. However, as I've stated earlier, no action on the proposed boundary changes will occur prior to our action meeting on Thursday, January 21st, 1999. Since the January 12th meeting has been set aside for further discussion on the subject, it is not on the agenda for discussion this evening. End of report, Madam.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of Frank?
Yes.
Yes.
Since we had so many open meetings after the initial presentation, if we make changes, are we going to continue to have as many open meetings so that those people that are now affected by a change will have a chance to air their opinions?
We've heard from about 31 people showed up at the first meeting on Monday. 10 of those parents spoke on Monday, that Monday the 7th. The committee has met today and will meet again, and need be, until we can get the right numbers.
No, that's not what I asked. If the committee alters the map and the proposal, that means now possibly some new people are affected by the new map or the new changes. Do we not then again owe them the same privilege of having a couple of open meetings with the committee to air their grievances? In other words, every time you make a change, we should go through the same procedure of allowing people to express their opinions. So my point is, if you have a meeting, a new proposal scheduled.
Well, now we have to give another group a chance,
Yes.
another group, and another group.
Yes,
And
so
we hear,
forever,
right.
if you keep making changes.
If it includes new people.
Yeah, if it includes new
Okay.
people. Well, any change does something to somebody, even if it's not moving them.
I think at the time that we look at it, if there's a decision to make a modification, I think we ought to consider that as part of the decision to make the modification as to how and when we might provide additional public input opportunities. But I think that that's a good point to be raised and something the board would have to consider.
Let me dispel one thing. I happened to see a comment in the newspaper, in the Reporter the other day, that the decision had to be made by the end of February. There's no drop dead date on this at all. It would be nice, well, I'm sorry, probably for transportation purposes next year. But for budget-wise, we can go on probably to March or April if we had to. I don't want to go that far. I prefer we didn't. Hopefully the board would make a decision on January 21st.
Dr. Vanneman?
The concern I would have, of course, would be decisions we need to make with respect to the budget, the people allocation, which depends on us knowing the enrollments of the schools. That's the reason why we've come forth and our hope to get a decision as soon as we can, with the target being January 21st. So.
Is it fair to ask if there will be a committee sponsored or recommended modification to the existing plan?
Well, there will be, we haven't decided that yet. We've gathered additional data. We've looked at the information that we gleaned from the 3 opportunities for the public to speak, and we're reworking some numbers and considering some possible modifications to the original plan, but there hasn't been a final decision yet. We'll have another meeting prior to the time that we submit information to you, board members, and that would be prior to the January 12th work session. The work session, January 12th, is the next opportunity for you to hear what the committee has considered with respect to public input and any modifications that they come up with.
Okay, I think that's what we're sort of hoping for, is that modifications do come forward and that they are driven by the committee, and that any modifications do not have to come from the board down, that they come from the committee up with these new numbers and new data. I think that's what we're wishing.
We'll share that with you on the 12th.
Thank you. Any other questions of Dr. Venema or the committee? Thank you. K through 12 curriculum, Dr. Hassel.
I'll turn that over to Dr. Allen. Mr. Allen.
Dr. Allen.
Like a ping pong ball. Doctor, it hurts when they do this. Curriculum. The curriculum department is continuing its work reviewing Pennsylvania standards and benchmarks, making final revisions to the elementary report card, completing the framework for K through 12 science, examining current issues in math instruction, and writing curriculum for health and foreign language. Building principals recently participated in a workshop designed to familiarize them with the PSSA Classroom Connections Kit. The kit is a set of resource materials developed to focus on best practice and current research to show connections between the PSSA standards, instructional strategies, classroom assessments, analysis of scores, and systems thinking within the framework of students' performance. The materials will serve also to help school districts align curriculum, instruction, and assessment to correlate with Pennsylvania academic standards and PSSA testing. Professional development opportunities continue to be planned and made available to staff in the areas of technology integration, MISE, language arts, and performance assessment. End of report.
Any questions, Mr. Allen? Anybody? Okay, thank you, sir. Special Education Student Services, continue, please.
That would be me again. On tonight's agenda, we are requesting approval for a student receiving discrete trial training. This approval is needed due to the fact that the child's program has been reevaluated and changed. Also, this will be my last committee report given, and I would like to thank Lou Rusnock and Dottie Hatfield for all the cooperation they've given me and the help and You give me these nice things to say, and you make me look good, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
And we thought it was your wife that made you move.
Well, she
You wanna
picks
try
out
and
my
fix
ties.
that before you go? Okay. Alternative Education Task Force, Mr. Shapinsky.
No report this evening.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any questions of either gentleman? Support Services, Mr. Allen.
No report.
Okay, questions? Thank you. Finance, Mr. Shaw.
Finance Committee met on November 24th. The focus of our discussions was to review the corrective action plan related to the local audit that we received last October. The only follow-up action to that was a request by members of the committee for us to seek greater specifics and details behind those areas of the management report related to personnel matters of casual hires without board approval. We have asked that we seek some specific details from the auditor who authored those within the report so that we could have a better handle of the employees that that was being referenced in very general terms, as well as the department heads that have participated in authorizing those hires. Outside of that, we've left no other follow-up business for the Indiana Finance Committee. I'd like to thank everyone for the past year and all their cooperation, given that we've had a very, very strenuous year, given nearly 6 audits within the last 12 months, and all the other special circumstances that we've endured. On the agenda, there are 4 finance items, doing with Plan Con J's, Plan Con H, budget transfers, and change orders. However, they did come to us subsequent to the Finance Committee meeting. They were initiated by Dr. Hassler, but I'm sure Rita could answer to those if anyone has any questions. They were not a matter of discussion at our Finance Committee meeting. That's the end of my report.
Any questions of Mr. Shaw? Thank you. Personnel, Legislative, Technology, Mr. Hunt.
Yes, under personnel, this evening is the regular corrections, additions, and modifications we do with personnel every month. Ask your approval on all those items. Under legislative, of course, the state legislature are on holiday. They've been on holiday a long time. But all the stuff that's in the hopper right now, of course, will all die as this year ends. So all bills that are there will have to be reintroduced, go through committee, and start over again. So there is nothing. Depends which one you're talking about. And the technology is moving ahead rapidly and being utilized within the district, which is which we're all proud of. And I know that the students and the teachers both are encouraged with the way the technology has been incorporated within the school. The district already network has currently over 500 computers linked in the 4 middle schools and in the high school and at this building. And that with access to each school's library catalog and to the internet. At the elementary level, the upgrades in the elementary classrooms that we released the contracts on is proceeding, and installation of the hardware will start in January. And I'm also encouraged to say that a lot of training is going on, and a lot of the teachers are taking training, and a lot of other support staff are taking training outside of the district to improve their skills with this technology stuff. We're very happy to see that's all taking place. The only other comment to the public I'd like to make is that the internet, which is becoming available to the district, I mean to the use of the students, is all predicated on the fact that the students that in the high school and the middle school return the forms that were sent out saying that the use of that is okay by their families, and that's needed. So those that haven't returned them, I encourage you to return them. End of reports.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any questions of Don Hill on any of these matters? No? Okay, thank you. North Monco Technical Career Center, Mr. Mosley.
No report, other than the fact that to remind you that Monday night is the Christmas
Right.
dinner, 6 o'clock.
That's an important thing to bring up.
Sure is.
And how many bags of cookies can each board member take home?
Now, wait a minute. Last year, they told
Put up
us,
one finger, you thief.
they said that please take as many as you want because they were sitting on that table. Don, I was there when they told you.
It was shameful. It was
They were
shameful.
good.
You have something.
What'd your mother say? There's children starving in India, and you took how many bags of cookies? Okay.
That's all I have to report.
Any questions, Mr. Mosey? I hope all the board members get to that lovely meal prepared by our students.
I would just like to remind you that that also is reorganization.
Yes. I would anticipate that Mr. Mosey would be put up as vice president of the VOTEC, and he's done a very fine job there.
Thank you.
Meeting discussed, Mr. Moore.
Yes, there's been no meetings held, but we are researching material with the administration and plan to have a meeting in this area early next year.
Very good. Any questions, Mr. Moore? Thank you. Municipal Relations, Mr. Shapinsky.
I met with officials from Talmadge Township Board of Supervisors in regards to the possibility of fast-tracking the Englewood driveway realignment project. The request was taken back to the Board of Supervisors last night, who agreed that the project was of mutual importance to both the township and the school district. They appointed last night a liaison to work with the school district's team, and I have discussed this appointment with Mr. Wood, Director of Support Services, and it's our belief that the appointment will aid the project team to both expedite planning and design of the driveway realignment and help us accomplish our goals of increased student and staff safety and improved facility efficiency. And the report.
Mr. Shapinsky, do you have an idea who that liaison will be from the supervisor?
I was told that it was Supervisor Theodore Durant.
Great. Arthur, is that the first time we've ever had a point man put on a job like this from a municipality?
That's good.
That's super. Mr. Shapinsky, thank you for that idea. Also, I think there'd be great humor found in the audience tonight and with Art Wood about your idea about filming this old driveway. Would you kind of like to tell Ms. Littlowski about it before she gets the assignment?
Oh, I'm sure she'll get it.
Stay tuned, Channel 16, This Old Driveway, featuring Art Wood and Englewood. And poor Mr. Duran, who doesn't know about this yet. So, another good idea, Vince. Montgomery County Intermediate Unit. Dr. Hassler, do you have anything on that?
No.
Okay. Alrighty, very good. Student life, John Sheldon.
No report.
You say no life?
No report.
Well,
Lots of life.
lots of life. Well, you know what, then that's probably the best segue to introduce the student government representatives, if they wish to speak first, under audience of citizens. There was no student life report. I bet you know more than Mr. Schilling does.
That's probably true.
Yeah. Don't make her go there alone, Mr. Gamble.
Jennifer Sykes, Montgomery Township. Mr. Schilling, when is the next student life meeting? Has been canceled. We didn't know if it was rescheduled.
It hasn't been scheduled yet, but you will be informed when it is.
Okay. Schedule it.
Jared Gamble, Lansdale. Thank you.
Oh, wait a minute, you had a dance this month. Don't you want to tell us something? You know, best dress, worst dress, anything.
Jared was the best looking
Yes.
male besides my date.
Yes. And Jen was the best dancer besides my date. Right there.
Very good.
Thank you.
Good report, thank you. Oh, gosh. Thank you, folks. Appreciate you both. All righty, ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, that did begin audience of citizens. This is your time. Students go first. Anybody wishing to come before the board, state your name and address.
Good evening. H. Bruce Gordon, Montgomery Township. Happy holidays to everybody. Mr. Hill, you mentioned that the internet permission slips are due back in the schools. Any idea what percentage have been turned in? Are kids missing out internet opportunities at this point?
I don't, but the administration knows all those things.
I would just echo what Mr. Hill said. We are encouraging more and more students to get them back. We're only at about 60% right now. But no one is missing out because we haven't done the training yet. So we're encouraging. We'll send out another reminder to parents to get these back. over the holidays, we'll start giving access, in a sense, to those students who have returned them so we can start the training when we get back in January. But we certainly want to encourage more and more to return. Out of the 50% that have been or 60% that have been returned, I think we're at about 99% of those that have approved of the usage. So
good. In the policy committee meeting earlier in November, I offered, and I'll offer again here, my help, and I think you could call upon the community, those of us working in business, any help that the district may need with regards to year 2000 issues. We're coming up on the end of 1999, or 1998, phew, I'm pushing things here, 1998, and I think it's very important that the district make sure that we've dotted the I's, crossed the T's with regards to setting up a year 2000 project office, make sure our facilities will run smoothly over that year boundary. And anything that myself or any other members of the community, I'm sure you could call upon, that work in business that are going through this now in our daily life, would be happy to step forward and help the district. We're going to see the committee restructuring tonight and the assignment of committee members. Are we also going to get dates for those committee meetings so we can start blocking our social calendar out?
Shortly. I thought that the appointments should be made this evening, and then there's time over the holidays for chairman to coordinate with dates that they can bring forward in the beginning of January.
Good, okay. And one last thing, a matter of personnel, and I'm not sure if you're going to answer me or not on this. We seem to be missing in action Mrs. Deddes. Is she okay? Is she still with the district? I don't see any information here. Is she still our finance director?
I can answer that.
Yes.
Obviously, we can't comment on that. That is a personnel matter. As you should know that the reason for her absence is not health related.
Good. Glad to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Anybody else, please? Anybody? One more time?
Lindsay Simpson, Lansdale.
That's a good answer.
Lindsay Simpson, Lansdale. I was just wondering, we're here representing the cheerleaders, but we weren't sure if it was under the travel part of the agenda, or if we should do it now. Okay.
Jessica Feisel, Lansdale.
We're here representing the North Penn High School varsity cheerleaders. Recently, we went to a regional competition on November 22nd and received a bid to go to the national competition in Orlando, Florida. Our squad has decided to go, except it's a large expense for all. The estimated cost per girl is about $515. That's airfare, which I think is almost paid for from our parents, and then the deal that we have, which is somewhere around $310, and it includes the hotel and 2 meals for 4 days, and they only include two meals. Basically, what we're coming to ask you today is if you can allot any money for the cheerleaders to just help us out a little. I don't know.
And just to give you a quick overview of what we've already tried to do, the account that we had, which was a total of $2,400 before we began to take any money out of it, we split up 80-20% to keep money in there for future use. And with that 80%, we split it up per girl, which only took our costs from $515 to about $430, I believe. And and we've already started to fundraise.
The fundraisers that we are doing right now is we're selling flips, and we've got a little slogan: send the cheerleaders doing flips to nationals, which are chocolate covered pretzels by Nestle. And we sold Pampered Chef cookbooks. We're gonna have pizza sales and maybe a dance. We're looking into more when we get back because we didn't find out until about 3 weeks ago ourselves.
And our money's all due January 6th, first week after Christmas.
Well, we're looking like fundraisers for like reimbursements and stuff like that.
Okay, and of course, this is being Christmas, and you picked the perfect time to come to the board. And Travis into being Grinches, right?
Well, it's difficult because we didn't find out of our accomplishments until like 3 weeks ago, and it's just very difficult for many parents right now in the area to come up with the money right around Christmas time when it's due January 6th.
Okay, total amount of money is needed now to go on the trip.
Right.
Bottom line,
Correct.
how much?
Total for the whole squad
Yes.
is $8,240.
And we're not asking for all of that money, obviously.
Yes, Santa. Just checking. Can't tag all the bags, okay? This will go right to committee immediately. It's under student life, but now student life will come up underneath the curriculum. And Dr. Venema, it's yours.
Thank you very much.
Ladies, we'll get back to you.
Ladies, I'll talk with Dr. Cotter and Dr. Hassler, and we'll see what we can do.
Thank you very
Meanwhile,
much.
I don't believe the football team would have done a fraction as well as they did without you. And
Thank you.
Hard on their pretzel sales.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. That was very great.
Claudia Herman, 110 Winmont Circle, Montgomery Township. Happy holidays to everybody. It's Hanukkah. I should be home. I wanted to come up tonight to talk about the redistricting, of course, and I'm sure a lot of people are sick of hearing from me and hearing me and seeing me. I represent a very small community, Gwynmont Farms. There's 34 students. I say 32. My kids are wrong. A lot of things have been brought up. We've been bantering numbers. We've been bantering housing starts. We've been throwing all this stuff out there, and I'm here to talk to the board tonight. This is not a head count. This is not about numbers. It's about children, and that's why we're all here tonight. That's why you're on this board, and that's why I'm here fighting for my children, especially my 5th grader, who will go to NAP if this plan is voted on and approved. Then she will leave after a year and go back to Pembroke, leave the friend she just made at NAP, who will now go to Penndale. And let me tell you something, it's devastating for her. There's been a lot of decisions made by this board and other boards, and some of the members have been on both boards based on the elementary school that was voted against, the sale of the Keenest Road property, which became a Cutler development, which increases more homes, more children in an area that is already inundated with children. And we're facing this problem in this pocket, especially of Montgomery Township. I'm not just pointing the finger at the board and saying, I don't necessarily think that the decisions have worked. Montgomery Township has everything to do with this as well. It's runaway development. But the bottom line here is the victims of this are not anybody but the children. And a statement was made the other night that we have to live with this. We don't have to live with this. You don't have to live with this. I don't have to live with this. The 77 children from Gwyn North have to live with this. They are the ones that have to leave their school, some after 6 years of relationships, 6 years of teachers knowing them, 6 years of a community, and now they have to go to another school if this plan is voted on and approved on. The bottom line here is I challenge this board, Dr. Venema and Dr. Hassler, go talk to these children at Gwyn North. Sit with them eye to eye. Watch the tears roll down their faces. Talk to their parents how they're not doing well on tests right now, how they're not sleeping at night. I know this is emotional, but I'm sorry, it's part of the equation. These children should not have to pay the price for poor planning, for not having foresight, for not always making the right decision. They should not pay for what's going on here. It is not their problem. It is your problem, not theirs. It is Montgomery Township's problem, not theirs. Please, please come up with a different way. Please don't make these kids pay for this. Thank you.
Anybody else, please? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Cindy Granenko from Talmenson Township. I wanted to start out by saying that I spent the day in New York City with the 7th graders at Penndale, and it was the most fabulous trip for all of the 7th graders. I think there were 500 or 600 people. We went to see a Christmas Carol at Madison Square Garden Theater, and to see the children's faces light up as we entered New York, to go through the tunnel and to see the most fabulous show after the kids have been reading it and learning about it, to see the effort that the teachers did and the principal did. I just can't say enough about this mass effort to take that many children to New York during this crowded season to see just a fabulous show. So I wanted to start out by really thanking everybody that was involved in that, a great staff. And the kids and parents just loved every minute of it. It just, other than the fact that our bus almost broke down, but Hagee was wonderful. They fixed it in 5 minutes on a rest stop. I wanted to echo something that Bill said. I was involved in sitting in on the committee meeting, on the meetings 4 years ago with the Inglewood Elementary redistricting. And what you said, Bill, tonight really caught me, because what happened at the last meeting, if you look at Inglewood's map, people came out and spoke, and their voices were heard. And then people who weren't here, who it didn't affect, were chosen to move, and their voices weren't heard. So if you're going to make changes that affect, my child's not affected. I'm just speaking from what had happened in the past. If you're going to make changes that affect new families, they do deserve the opportunity to speak, because we've been hearing from the same groups. My daughter lost 70% of the children that were at Inglewood. She stayed behind. I know what that's like. She was with the remaining 30%. She lost all her friends. She made new ones. Kids are great, and they do really well. And I was an emotional wreck, too. And I understand where everybody's coming from. But you need to give everybody the same opportunity to speak, because it just isn't fair to turn around and listen to the same people and not give the new people a chance, because they're going to be just as affected, and their voices need to be heard also. So I'm just asking if any change, I mean, it could go on and on and on. And I give the committee an incredible amount of credit, because it was hard last time and it's just as hard this time. They've put in a terrific amount of hours, and I'm sure they've looked at everything. And I'm not here to say what's right and what's wrong, but I think they've done an excellent job and should be commended for even walking into the first meeting. But thank you.
I anticipate that if any new neighborhood is cited or recommended, that there'll be due process for them. So I can't speak for the full board, but I do believe there's balance and fairness on this board, and what Mr. Allen expressed didn't seem unreasonable to me.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks. Anybody else, please? Mr. Griffin.
George Griffin, 105 Trotter Lane, North Wales, Montgomery Township. I'll speak much more on the 12th in regards to redistricting. I'd like to hear what some of the suggestions are. I won't try to rehash some of the things that I've said. But there was a suggestion here in regards to the year 2000 problem. I am fortunately working with some people in the Philadelphia region that are not addressing it seriously. I don't want to mention any names, but since I do not see year 2000 as a major item on your agenda, I would strongly recommend that it become a major item. There is numerous legal issues. There's numerous issues in regards to your support in your organization. I have the opportunity to walk around where my kid is. I'm amazed at some of the age of the machines that are supposed to make it through the millennium. I will guarantee them that they will not. Secondly, some of the new equipment that you may be buying may not be year 2K compliant. There's a lot of issues. You better bring this up to the high radar screen. Again, I'm not trying to be able to take any shots at Vince. I know he's doing as best as he can with it, but you really got to be able to bring it up, because even just look what's happening in Philadelphia in regards to the press that they're getting. And as I say, with the size of this school district, I think you really ought to refocus on it.
Thank you, and I'll make sure in our next meeting that I give a full update. We've met a number of times and started to look at all the equipment that we have, what we know is compliant, what we are bringing into compliance, and those things that we might not know. But I would offer, too, that if we're also looking for possibly some outside help, and if anyone is interested in giving us their expertise, give me a call, extension 221.
Should we anticipate then, Doctor, that should go on the work session agenda for January?
I'll give you an update.
Okay, Ms. Oborowski, informational update then. Young folks, is it something we said?
They're all here on an assignment. Yeah, they got their hour.
It's like somebody's clicker went off. Look at this. Curfew, right? Look at them. I guess.
They have to put an hour in.
I guess Burger King's gonna close down. Okay, anybody else? Thank you. Okay, superintendent's report?
Okay, recommend approval of board policy number 4111.5, recruitment and selection nepotism.
So moved.
Motion by Shapinsky, second by O'Donnell. Questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
B, recommend approval to engage Robert E. Blue Consulting Engineers, P.C. to provide engineering services for driveway and parking upgrades at Inglewood Elementary School. The fee for this service shall be 10.5% of the total cost of construction.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Schilling, second by Shapinsky. Questions?
Yeah, just one. Art, does this fee now, at the meeting, Pat brought up a couple issues, like did this include all the other things that were associated with this?
Absolutely.
This is everything?
I have a letter of waiver from Robert Blue personally that everything is now inclusive.
Thank you.
Including this old driveway.
In this old driveway.
He's not getting 10.5 on this old driveway.
I just have a question about that. Mr. Shapinsky mentioned the fact that he's going to fast track it. How are they going to?
No, I asked them to assign us. They're assigning us a supervisor.
And their way of fast tracking is a lot different than what your idea of fast tracking is.
One of the reasons why I sat down with them was because I know that the strained relationship the district had over some of the other projects we've had with Townsend. I asked them basically to assign a direct representative from their board to help us get through the plan, design, and approval process for this development. And they agreed to because they're willing to patch up the relationship they have with the school district. What is, no, it's free. We show up, they show up. That's the way it works.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
5C, recommend approval to engage Sealed Bid Services Incorporated to dispose of surplus equipment by sealed bid. The cost for this service shall be 18% of the total proceeds.
So moved.
Motion by Mosey,
Second.
second by Shapinsky. Questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
D, recommend approval of deduct change orders with Full Moon Construction Company Incorporated to reduce the contracts for the removal and replacement of in-ground fuel tanks in accordance with the following. Hatfield Elementary School, original sum $97,000, less $6,744.10 for a net cost of $90,255.90. Nash Elementary School, original sum $99,217, less $27,940.70 for a net of $71,276.30. And North Wales Elementary School, with an original sum of $96,217.10, less $21,384.48 for a net cost of $74,832.52.
So moved.
Motion by Schilling.
Second.
Second by Mosey. Questions?
Art, if you keep going, I think you'll have your money from Inglewood right here in the deduct change orders. This is a really positive sign.
This was a very helpful move.
Excellent.
Just a comment, Madam President, if I can. Art and Mr. Strobel should be complimented very hard and very closely on this. Our timing was right, and just like to recommend that $56,000 savings, since this project was funded through bonds. That money should go back into the bond account and not be earmarked or spent on something else.
Well, it'll be money that won't come out to begin with.
Well, but that's true. But, you know what I'm saying.
I get you.
Okay. Any other comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
E, recommend approval of a contract in the sum of $8,280 for a student whose name is on file in the Department of Student Services to receive discrete trial training.
So moved.
Motion by Mosey.
Second.
Second by Shapinsky. Questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
F, recommend acceptance of the following gifts to the district. At York Elementary School from Mr. and Mrs. Nybert, a gift of soccer balls in the amount of $80.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mosey, second by Schilling. Questions? I have one. At the last meeting, the work session, there was a extensive book donated by Mr. Bailey. It's not on here.
It'll be on the next one. We needed the form filled out and
I see.
turned in.
I see. Okay, thank you. Any other questions regarding donations? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
Actually, I'm only on chapter 1 of that book.
Oh, you're not reading that book.
Sure.
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
G, recommend award of the following bids for classroom student furniture, library security system at North Penn High School, and nonlinear editing system and digital video camera for the North Penn High School TV studio.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Hill, second by Schilling. I hope that's the only thing Bob's getting for Christmas. Go back there. Bob Gilmer. Bob.
Back there.
Bob. This is it. This is it. Santa's not coming. This is it. He's going
I'd just like to say we originally budgeted 55,000. We came in a little under 52. So
yes.
Right.
And one other thing, library security system. I don't remember that ever coming up.
That was part of the budget, as budgeted, for 98-99, and actually it's the monitoring system that you walk through when leaving the IMC, and all of our books, of course, have a tape in some place in the book. And as you walk out, it detects whether you've signed the book out or not, because it's demagnetized prior to going to the system. The system is the original system, and it needed to be replaced. And our librarians took the time to research it, put it in the budget, and it is in the 98-99 budget.
This is a separate item or included in your budget?
Not in my budget.
No, your budget. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
H, under personnel, recommend approval of the following personnel items, nominations.
So moved.
Motion by Hill,
Second.
second by Shapinsky. Questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure.
My question will be under change of position.
Okay.
I'm looking for, we had an individual we were hiring as a technician for...
Mr. Mosey, he's under change of position.
No, it was, I'm sorry, Madam President, I had it on
that's all
my
right.
original agenda, we get the new one. The technology junior technician.
Yes, it's under change of position, Mr. Mosey, under
Oh,
D.
change of position?
Yes,
That's not a new position then?
Well, he's already an employee in the district, so he's changing from one position to another.
But are we creating a new position as junior technician?
It was a position that was created and approved in the technology budget.
Okay, that's part of that plan?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. You're on B.
B, change of effective date for retirement, item BA-7B.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Shapinsky, second by Hill. Questions?
No, it was Pat.
I'm sorry. Slipperowski, motion by Mosey, second by Hill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
C, resignations, item number BA-7B.
So moved.
Motion by Shapinsky,
Second.
second by Hill. Come on, folks, pick up the pace. Questions?
Aye.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
D, position change, item BA-7B.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Hill, second by O'Donnell. Thank you. Oh, everyone's a comedian at Christmas. You're not getting anything. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
Salary change, item BA-7C.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mosey, second by O'Donnell. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
Leave of absence, item number BA-7C-D.
So moved.
Motion by Mosey, second by O'Donnell. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
G, change of effective date of leave of absence, item BA-7D.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mosey, second by O'Donnell. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
H, extension of leave of absence, item BA-7D.
So moved.
Motion by Mosey, second by Schilling. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
2, recommend approval of additions to the professional and support substitute list for the 1998-99 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Shapinsky, second by O'Donnell. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
3, recommend approval of additions and deletions to the extra duty assignments for the 98-99 school year.
So moved.
Motion by Mosey,
Second.
second by Shapinsky. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
I, student travel, item number BA-9.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mosey, second by Schilling. Questions?
Yes. Concerned with the fact, I see on item number 2, we're sending 61 students to New York City for 1 day, an estimated cost of $1,100 for transportation. Item above that, we're sending 15 students to New York City for 1 day for $500. 1/3 of the amount for half, almost 500 as opposed, we're sending 61 for $1,000 and only 15 for 500. Somehow that doesn't.
Well, the circumstances are a little different. In the music trip, they take, they can only handle so many students and equipment that goes along with it. So they still have the same transportation costs for the lease of the bus. So
This is a band?
This is a choral.
Item number 1?
Choral group that has musical equipment that goes with them, number 1. So the number of students that they can accompany on that bus is limited also by the amount of equipment that they have to take, and they have to take the type of bus that will get them there.
That's all. Thank you. That's all I have.
Mr. Sharp?
Is something that can be done at staff travel that also distinguishes for us which is being subsidized by the students as to those being 100% paid by the district? Because that could bring this difference between, if one's 100% funded as opposed to the other actually being the costs that are related for the business, whether it's for the chaperones or whether it's sometimes being subsidized by the students. Because as you heard earlier today, there was the trip to New York City. It was attached to the English curriculum. However, the students were required to pay for the tickets and the transportation. It was subsidized by a $50 payment by those who went as a part of the student body on the class trip, as well as the chaperones that attended. So there was a different level of financing by the district. I don't know what additional subsidies would be.
You're a mind reader in a sense. As we went over the agenda this week and took a look at it, we all agreed that starting in the new year, we want to try to group them differently because it is difficult to decipher why one group gets this versus another. So what we're going to try to do is group them, the ones that pertain to curriculum, extracurricular, etc.
And ones where we can see whether it's also
Yeah, I think
the
that's a good
participation.
suggestion. We can list student subsidized remainder of cost as a component of the recommendation. For example, the one that was brought up this evening by the cheerleaders, the costs that are listed there for the 2 staff members. It doesn't indicate the fact that the girls are raising funds to subsidize their piece of it.
Right.
So we can certainly list that.
So I mean, in many cases, sometimes we're seeing what is strictly staff and not realizing how much money is having to be funded by the students. We can get a better perspective on that.
I indicated to Mr. Hill last week when he raised questions about staff travel that we are looking at the procedures and hope to group these things so it's a little easier to understand it all.
Any other questions of student travel? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
Under information, the vandalism report, item BA-10 is attached. And under other business, recommend approval to transfer $950 from the general fund to the North Penn School District Authority.
So moved.
Motion by Mosey, second by, to help me.
Hill.
Hill. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
I was on that. It's a
Thank
tough
you.
organization.
Yeah, that's tough.
B, recommend acknowledgement of receipt of Plan Con Part J from Pennsylvania Department of Education for the District Administration Office, Montgomery Elementary School, and the revised letter for Bridle Path Elementary School, item number 152-98.
Second.
Motion by Mosey, second by Schilling. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
C, recommend acknowledgement of the receipt of Plan Con Part H from Pennsylvania Department of Education for the North Penn High School additions, item 151-98.
Motion by Mosey, second by Schilling. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
D, recommend approval to establish a local taxpayers appeals board to be made up of 3 people with no compensation as set forth by the Taxpayers Local Control Act, Act 50 of 1998.
So moved.
Motion by Schilling, second by Mosey. Questions?
Just one.
I would just, we talked about this at the policy meeting, and I asked you to check into the board members could serve on that committee. Did you ever?
Yes, they can. Well, obviously, because the compensation set at 0.
Right.
We can change that just as any other policy with 2 readings coming forward.
Okay.
And the only question I had, that was already cleared up, but should this, Mr. Solicitor, motion be amended to include the service term of only 1 year?
Let me ask you, does the attachment that you have indicate that? Yes, you can amend it to recite that, yes.
Would you like to do that?
I didn't make the motion, somebody has to read it back.
Is it necessary to be?
It's not necessary.
No, well,
You
then
can
if it's
either
not
put it in this
necessary,
motion, or you can put it in at the time of the appointment.
Then I withdraw my request.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions?
I mean, I'll change it.
Yeah, I did.
Yes, Mr. Allen?
Just have to make sure what you're doing it right.
I question the wisdom of having the same people that create the budget being on an appeal board to hear individual concerns about the budget they passed. And I wonder if that we not have board members.
Let me
as
address
members
that
of
in this term. We did this because we're required to have this appeal board designed and formatted for the approval of this policy. As it stands now, no one can appeal anything with the district because we don't have any of the taxes that are appealable. So this committee in itself won't be a functioning committee, but we will in the future have to make changes to this format.
Once it gets as a real functional committee.
Well, then that question can be addressed again.
Pardon me?
Then you'll go about appointing.
Then you'll get appointing representatives or one representative and determining the actual compensation.
The only thing we're
Okay.
complying with the bill and the act.
I understand we're
Establishing an appeal board, but until it becomes necessary to put someone on, we discussed this at our
Okay.
committee meeting.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
E, recommend approval of the following proposed amendment to the North Penn Educational Foundation bylaws, Article 4, Section 3, manner of selection and term. Currently, it reads, each director except the permanent director shall serve for a term of 3 years or until a successor is elected. Nominations for director may be submitted by the nominating committee or by individual directors. No director shall serve more than 2 successive 3-year terms. Proposed to read, after serving 2 successive 3-year terms, a director may be elected to a 1-year term by majority vote of the directors then in office. After serving this term, the director is then eligible to be selected to 2 additional successive 3-year terms.
So moved.
Second.
I'm on that, I attend these meetings on that, and this was necessary to put this in because right now they're on for the 3 years, and then they would normally have to leave. We have a lot of good members on there that we like to keep, and so this is a method to keep good people that's on there on a continuum basis, and that's the whole purpose of this, to retain the people. That's right, just for dinner.
If Don's on,
In our
yes.
January meeting, I've asked the president of this organization to come up and say a few words relative to what they've accomplished, what they plan to accomplish in the ensuing year for the students in the North Penn School District.
Now, we've had a whole lot of discussion, and we had no motion and a second.
Yes, we did.
Yes, you did.
But we did you get them? Okay, thank you.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Thank you.
Okay, we're going to flip back to the addendum now, which is at the front of your packet. And we're under other business. Number F, recommend approval for the waiver of transfer taxes on parcels number 11-00-16300-6 and number 11-00-19620-00-7 to be acquired by Lansdale Borough as open space.
So moved.
Motion by Mosey, second by Mrs. McCaskey.
Hey!
Hey! Nice to join us.
She got her in the agenda.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Thank you.
G, recommend approval of North Penn School District's Board of School Directors Committee assignments for 1999.
So moved.
And the name and the item?
BAA-2.
Is there a motion?
Yeah, I made a motion.
John made it.
Motion by Schilling,
Terry.
Terry.
second by Terry. By Ms. Kowski.
I'm sorry.
Any questions?
Yes, Madam President,
Yes.
are these cast in stone, or could another board member volunteer to serve on any of these other committees?
Well, these are these are the selections, and then they're put before the board for approval. We've never, to my knowledge, I don't know if committee assignments ever needing approval before, but we're doing that.
The reason I asked was because I know it was an oversight, but I'd asked that I stay on support services, because one of the reasons I wanted to was because I had been with the high school edition since its inception, and in that project since its inception, and I was kind of hoping I could stay on that committee to see those projects come to fruition. But if this is cast in stone, then I accept it.
Okay. And are there any other comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
H, recommend approval of the Taxpayer Bill of Rights, item number BAA-3.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Hill, second by O'Donnell. Questions?
Yes. This was never, I don't recall receiving this in our packets ahead of time. This is the first I saw it tonight. Didn't we have time to review it before we vote on it?
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah, I was asked to prepare this for tonight's meeting. Essentially, what this does is bring the district into compliance with respect to Act 50. All this is the administrative regulations that are passed to go along, basically just to establish the rules and regulations, which are pretty simple.
And this is pretty boilerplate, with the exception of our name inserted.
It was given to us by the School Boards Association.
Oh, was it?
Okay, so we've had that.
It was in one of your other packets, but
Yes.
not in this format.
Yes.
It was given to you differently in other information.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion under other business to appoint the 4 members of the community to the local tax study committee this evening.
Yes.
This motion would read approval of the local tax study committee. 4 resident members would be Charles D. Bailey from Upper Gwynedd, Randolph H. Giles from Talminson, Augustus J. Petticone from Lansdale Borough, and Dorothy M. Miller from Hatfield Township.
Is there a motion?
Second.
Motion by Shapinsky, second by O'Donnell.
No, Hill.
Hill. Motion by Hill, second by O'Donnell. Questions?
Are we restricted or required just to appoint 4? We can only appoint 4?
You are not restricted to the appointment of only 4. Let me just, for background purposes, just tell you essentially what we're trying to do here. The actual commission that is required to be established by the Act, or mentioned in the Act in terms of establishment, has to give a report to the district within 90 days. Okay? We have backed out the necessary requirements from the general election of 1999, meaning that you should establish that commission not earlier than March 1st, or thereabouts, within a couple of days, basically on March 1st. What we have done then is said, suppose we need more time than March, April, and May for that commission to study what they have to study to make recommendations to this board. The way we can do that under the Act is by the establishment of a committee. Now, I know that doesn't directly respond to your question, but because the commission can be 5 members of the public, of which only 1 can be a board member, you're essentially relegated to 4 members of the public plus a board member. The committee then, because they're going to be doing the same work and we're just trying to give them additional time, while there's no requirement by law that it be limited, it should be limited because you're going to roll the same people from the committee into the commission. And if that happens, then your committee should have no more than 4 members of the public who are not board members, because you're going to want to have them continue at the commission level. So because it is a regulation with respect to the commission and not with respect to the committee, if your committee contains additional members, they will have to be eliminated from the process by the time you get to that. So effectively, to accomplish your result, the answer is yes, although technically the answer is no.
Mr. Mosey, I'll also be recommending 3 board members be placed on that committee, and I'll put it up for board vote.
Okay, the reason I was asking is because I know in the seminars I've attended, the commission will have a lot of work to do, which the committee could do a lot of the preliminary work to make their job easier. I know that once you appoint the commission, then you're on the clock.
That's right.
And my thinking would be, since they are going to be doing a lot of, hopefully a lot of the preliminary and groundwork, I would like to see that we have all 6 people on that committee, and if we have to eliminate 2 and vote for at a later date, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Some may even want to eliminate themselves at a later date and say, I put my time in, I don't want to serve anymore in that commission. And I'm just thinking that, that's why I asked if we were restricted to 4, because I think you're going to have an awful lot of preliminary work that's going to have to be done before you appoint your commission. I don't know if 4 people is going to be enough.
Yeah, you're not putting on 4 people, you're putting on 4 people who are not board members.
Right.
Obviously, it's the board's decision, you can put as many people on the committee as you like, but the problem is then after they get into the project to a certain extent, then they're gonna have to be eliminated because the commission can only be 5, of which 1 is gonna be a board member. So the way that that was recommended that we handle it was to put on the committee 3 board members and 4 non-board members, and that way you would have 7 on the committee, and that would be peeled back to 5 at the time that you got to the commission.
Okay, that
Really doesn't make any difference. That's
I'm just thinking of burning these people out, that's all. My next question is, I know that the seminars I went to, that you have to meet certain socioeconomic parameters. Are you required to do that with the committee as well?
No. There's no requirements with respect to the committee because that's not required or discussed in the act. It's only a question of when you get to the commission. However,
have you reviewed the resumes of these people?
Have I? No, it's not my selection.
Because the ones I did, I see an awful lot of similar socioeconomic background. I don't know if even those 4 even qualify to serve on the commission.
I have given the board the requirements of the act. I have not participated in the selection of people.
And again, that could even be a question that's open because no one's really defined what socioeconomic. All they say in the act is that it has to be a cross section. But again, we could be in violation and not even know it. That's why I'm asking the question, so we don't run into a problem 6 months down the road and get into this thing and find out we got to go back to page 1. Thank you, sir.
Okay, any other questions? Yes.
Again, this is a motion that's been added to the table tonight as we sat here. Pat's points I would have to reiterate. I myself, having experienced the strategic planning committee and every other, I would think, particularly that we only had 6 members of the community to respond, we would be better if we didn't bank 100% that all 4 that began under the committee was going to become the commission. And secondly, you've defeated the purpose on the front end if in fact you don't have enough socioeconomic background information on the 4 people that you're assigning to the committee to meet the standards of the commission. In other words, I don't necessarily have it in the resumes that I've received because they weren't really required to bring forward the type of information that will be required to have in order to take them officially into the commission.
Okay, well, let me point out, Vicki, you said there's something that was brought at the table tonight. Well, let's speak in full truth, okay? Let's get out of the weeds a little bit. You received documentation all week on the list of people that were in on the first advertisement. You got 2 follow-up resumes on people that came in on the second advertisement. There's also 2 announcements that I made earlier this evening that this would be on the agenda. You've had all the information that we could possibly take legitimately from 6 people.
Madam President.
You know that the committee was going to meet in January. If you follow all the dots, it's very easy to see the picture.
Quite frankly, I prefer not to have dot to dot. I prefer to have a printed motion in the agenda. And quite frankly, I'd also prefer that if we're not going to do that, at least we respect the audience of citizens' rights to respond to these motions by having them announced in their true semantics. No one knew what was going to come forward on the vote for the tax study committee. all 6 names to be approved, 4 names to be approved, what 4 names would be actually coming forward in Mr. Shapinsky's motion, any more than at the last meeting, to give a general reference to the fact that we might be voting on a vacancy position later in the meeting, did not really honor this board's long-held practice of requiring that any motions that are coming to the floor at least allow the community to respond to them. That's going back to 1994.
Vicki, that's why the announcement is before the audience of citizens. Nobody coming forward asked anything about that committee or anybody to be appointed on that committee. And it's not determinable who's going to be recommended, because nothing stops you or anybody else who chooses to say nay to put a different name on the floor.
It was a closed nomination, and I would support that we should consider, since we only had 6 names coming forward, that all 6 names be upheld. I would also ask our solicitor to help advise me on the sunshine law concern that I have as to whether or not, when a motion is coming forward, a closed nomination, whether it was for the board presidency vote at the last meeting, or any new motion that's being added that wasn't previously disclosed according to its actual content, do we not now, under Act 93 of 98, need to actually uphold that long-held practice of providing the audience of citizens? There are 2 issues dealing with the same motion tonight.
Both were provided audience of citizen time. The board presidency vote was obviously on the agenda.
That was on the agenda.
Right, and it was also mentioned twice this evening that under other business, there would be appointments to that committee. Everybody else seems to have been fine with it.
Madam President, I'm talking.
You got a call for the question.
I have a legal question on the sunshine law.
Okay, wait a minute, you're all out of order. Solicitor, there was a call for the question. Help me proceed.
Well, I can answer Mrs. Scher's question if you'd like me to do that. Very simply, I believe Mr. Shapinsky mentioned earlier at the beginning of the meeting before the audience of citizens that there would be an appointment to the committee in question. That is certainly sufficient notice, and the audience of citizens is a response there too. We have met the public advertising requirements. The meeting is advertised for specific business and then contains a boilerplate phrase that any other business properly presented. The public was notified that this business would be presented at the beginning of the meeting. The audience of citizens took place, and then subsequent thereto, the motion was made. That is perfectly appropriate under both the sunshine law and the school code.
In other words, it doesn't have to be specific to the matter of the motion.
You do not have to have a specific audience of citizens only for the purpose of a particular matter of business. The requirement in the 1998 law is that the audience of citizens take place prior to the business being acted upon. Obviously, it's my view that encompasses notice to the citizens as to what matters may subsequently take place. And I believe that was given earlier tonight by Mr. Shapinsky. He did mention the fact that there would be an appointment of the committee.
Okay, and as of the last meeting in which the vacancy was a closed nomination that was placed before, how does I don't understand how the spirit can be followed if you can't really guess what the content is.
No, wait a minute. Let me talk about the last meeting.
How we can do this.
Let me speak specifically to the last meeting. In the last meeting, the particular matter of the filling of the vacancy was advertised and advertised in writing in the newspaper. In other words, in the public advertisement, public notice advertisement that you had for the meeting, it said that the board could do any other business properly presented, including but not limited to the filling of the school board vacancy created by the resignation of Mrs. Krieger, or words to that effect. But the matter was mentioned particularly in the advertisement. Therefore, you have the appropriate legal notice, and you also have the appropriate action by the board.
And you're saying a legal opportunity to speak.
Yes.
So then basically it's a guessing game that if anything's possible, that anything can be added in at any time later in the agenda after the audience of citizens, and you need to be prepared to just reference that.
No. There was no guessing game. The matter was specifically advertised. Now, I can't say ahead of time that the board will or will not take action, because when we do the advertisement, we don't know whether the motion will pass or not pass. And it would be improper for us to get the school board together and convene the board to take a vote to determine whether it will. So all we can say is the board may take action upon that and give the public the opportunity to comment on the fact that they may happen.
I will tell you that since 1994, and Terry was a part of this board back then when we fought this with a previous board president, and from that time, we had adopted a practice that basically the motions that used to be read under committee reports were deliberately and intentionally deferred until after the audience and citizens. They'd be announced under the committee reports, but they were deferred in order to allow the direct comments of the audience
But it was
to those
mentioned.
issues.
It was mentioned.
And again, and the other business. These are the first two times that I've seen where there was the specific motion which changed the contents of, I couldn't guess from what was announced at the last meeting.
Well, let me,
What would
Mrs.
be the
Scher,
specific motion.
what
I
needs
said
to
we never-
happen?
We used
what-
to announce them.
No, what needs to happen is
Or place them on the
A, public notice, okay? B, audience of citizens, and C, the action of the board. As
Right.
long as things take place in that order, that's fine.
But that doesn't give us the specific motions of an agenda. That's an announcement of a meeting. You're not always going to know what's going to come onto an agenda to participate. And that's just my major concern. I feel that you've regressed a bit in that, in giving that opportunity. I'm not going to be
Ma'am,
labored
I can tell you,
anymore,
in that
but-
advertisement, other than the reorganization, there was, in my recollection is there was only one specific matter of business that was advertised other than reorganization, and that was the filling of the vacancy. So when people read the public notice, they had notice of two things: A, reorganization, and B, the filling of the vacancy. So they had notice, then they had the audience to citizens, and then they had the action. That's perfectly appropriate.
Rather than relying on the agenda that you receive when you arrive. Check your legal ads.
The agenda you
I
receive.
suggest we accept, I would like to see us consider the 6 members to get specific to this agenda item. If there's any comments from the audience, I think we should have an opportunity to enter into the debate. But I know there were only 6 responses. I would be concerned that in several months from now, 4 members for a 4-member position isn't going to be able, can't be guaranteed to be able to sustain that. And it would be better to have more members who have followed the business than to have too few.
Well, that's a matter for the board to
And
decide. I don't have a legal
that-
opinion with respect to
And
that.
also
That's a
to
matter
check,
of what you
and
want
to
to do.
bring greater socioeconomic balance in case it doesn't match up, because the resumes we didn't really request, I don't believe, that kind of information. You know, retiree or husband.
Is there anybody on this list you don't know?
Pardon
Is there
me?
anybody on this list you don't know?
I don't know their socioeconomic for.
Well,
Are we allowed to go get that information?
Does anyone have a copy of Act 50? Because I'd like to take a look at that. If anybody has a copy of that, I have a synopsis of it, and I don't have the exact language.
I don't know, we're off the base here. All we're forming is a committee, we're not forming a commission.
Why not then?
And I think we can proceed with the motion that's on the floor. If we have to make a change to that as we move along, we can adopt, we can make those changes, but let's move ahead.
Don, it was the very fact that you said that you wanted 4 because you wanted 4 to be able to become the commission. And if that's your stated objective,
If it turns out as we proceed, if the law is such written that we have to make changes, then we have to make changes. I don't plan to make any changes on the floor, but if that has to happen, obviously we've got to do what the law says. But right now, we're trying to form the committee and get this started.
I realize. And
I don't want to delay this past where we're going right now.
If we receive 20 responses, I could say that perhaps that's too difficult to manage or to expect to be able to bring the business about efficiently. But if you have just simply 6 people that are interested, I think that's still a rather small committee for such a large task and unknown deadline.
Let the committee get started, and let's find out how big the task really is. Until we get into it and find out what our problems are, we really won't know. Let's get started and find out what, right now, we've been talking about it a lot, but we haven't done anything.
Can I make a motion to amend?
No, there's a motion and a second on the floor. If it fails, you can throw another motion out of the thing.
There's a motion and a second on the floor. A motion to amend is proper. You can make a motion, it requires a second, and then you would vote on the motion to amend first. So you can make a motion, that motion will require a second.
Motion to amend to accept the 6 citizens to serve on the local tax study commission as received by the district.
That motion requires a second.
I'll second it.
To accept the 6.
No, you said commission.
The committee, the local tax study committee.
There's a motion and a second on the amendment.
Now you vote on the amendment.
Right. Roll call, Ms. Liberowski, on the motion to the amendment.
On the amendment.
Vicky's to change it to 6.
That will change the main motion. You were voting to amend the main motion.
It adds 2 other names to the list.
All right, there's a motion on the floor. Go
Did you
ahead.
call me?
How'd you know?
Allen.
Yes.
Hill.
No.
Mosey.
Yes.
O'Donnell.
No.
Kowski.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Schilling.
Yes.
Sierpinski.
No.
Mengel.
No.
5 yeses, 4 noes.
All right, the motion passes. The main motion is now amended to include the appointment of 6 individuals. Madam President, you should now ask for discussion on that and then subsequently bring it to a vote.
Okay.
I have a comment.
All right, discussion on the 6. Yes, sir.
The only difficulty I think we face with having 6 members on the commission is if one of them wants to stay and they don't fit the socioeconomic age bracket or whatever we need to appoint to the commission, then we would be forced to displace somebody that would, which would cause action.
Mr. Sierpinski, I'm sorry, I probably didn't make myself clear. You should speak to the main motion, but the idea of whether it's 6 or 4 has already been decided by the board.
I understand that.
So you should now move on to discuss whether you're going to pass the motion as amended or what your comments may be with respect to
I
that.
think he was speaking.
That's what I was speaking to. That's what I was speaking to.
You may not vote for it now because it's 6 instead of 4.
Because it's 6 instead of 4,
Okay,
correct.
but the issue as to whether 6 or 4 is already decided.
I understand that.
Okay.
I was speaking to that point, and I think that puts the district in a precarious situation. I mean, I know from looking at this list, I mean, we've met most of these people, I believe, at meetings before. I do know we have 1 woman here. I do know we have 1 person who would be considered a minority. I mean, what if these 6 people now, one of these people want to displace one of these other people? Does that cause us a problem? I don't know if I can support that motion that way.
The fact is, Vince, we don't know socioeconomic diversity. That's
Well,
different
Vicky,
than
we do know
geographic,
gender,
it's
and we do
different
know-
than
we do know
gender.
whether they're a
It's a
minority or
matter
not.
whether 2 people are retired. If you have 2 retirees.
Vicky, I don't want to debate you over my point on the motion, so you don't have to.
Oh, that's fine, Mr. Farrell. I think it's safest way to go.
This
We need the other 2.
the other 2. Variety that we need, whatever the right word is, on this commission.
Yeah, yes.
Is that what you're talking about?
I'm trying to find out exactly the phraseology in the act.
That's fine.
The public would like to know who the other 2 are?
The names would be added, would be Bruce Sachs from North Wales and Vincent J. Grilly from Lansdale Borough.
Thank you.
Let's see if there's any more discussion. I guess my concern about going from 4 to 6 is the fact that we now, as you're looking at attempting to find a good smattering of demographics and diversity on the committee, you've just gone from 3 men and a woman to 5 men and a woman. Under the plan of 4, there was a woman, there was a minority member, there was a retired person, there was an employed person. A retired man and an employed man. A minority male and a female working.
What happened?
And now it's gotten worse. And I guess that concerns me. And as far as socioeconomic, conjectures that have been made here, there is nothing in anyone's resume that would tell us how much money they're making. All you can do is assume.
That's what I said.
And I don't even know if we were in soliciting volunteers. Let's remember, these people are volunteers like we are. Whether or not it was proper or right to ask them for their IRS copies or How much money do they make, or how much money do they own? You
Madam-
make this much, you have how much to make?
Can I just ask for the board to just take a 5-minute recess? Let me find the section and I'll read it to you, because I'm not sure that the act requires exactly what has been suggested, and I'm not sure that it doesn't, but I do want to find the particular section. So
Well, I don't, wait a minute. I don't think I need a 5-minute recess.
Okay.
We have a motion on the floor. The motion now has been amended for 6 versus 4. Whatever you read isn't going to change that. And it's not going to change.
Well, that's what he just said.
It's not going to change it. We've already voted that it's going to be 6 instead of 4.
He's not sure.
No, the motion on the table is for 6 people. That's how it stands.
But before
Nothing
I-
he says is going to change that.
Before I vote on that, yes, I went to 6 because what Vicki said sounded good. Okay, it's only 2 more. But now what I'm hearing about the composition of those 4 that were there, I might want to go back to 4. So I want to hear exactly what the wording is on the demographics and the diversity before I vote. So to me, I need that information before I.
How are you going to go back again?
That's all right, we'll go back again.
You can vote against 6.
Throw another motion on the floor.
Does this not have to come back to the floor when we move to a commission, if we even move to a commission, which no one knows for sure that we will?
Wait a
The
minute.
commission and the committee are 2 different things.
Okay, let the solicitor
We'll have
answer
a future
why.
vote on the commission.
Well, Vicki, you can just keep
Take a
fluffing.
5-minute recess, please.
Let him answer one question at a time.
All right, let me read you the language. Membership, the local tax study commission shall consist of 5 members who are resident individuals or taxpayers of the school district. So far, so good. And shall reflect the socioeconomic, age, and occupational diversity of the school district to the extent possible. Now, I obviously don't know the socioeconomic information. If it's not provided, so be it. The age, I'm not aware of that. If it's not provided, so be it. And the occupational diversity, again, I'm not aware of that. Those are decisions that you have to make. But those are the relevant issues. I can't be certain from a reading of the statute, number one, what is considered appropriate diversity from an occupational standpoint. There are no standards in the Act with respect to that.
That's for a committee, Frank, or a commission?
This is for the commission. The committee is not referenced in the Act.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, and I just feel that the matter has gotten worse under 6. I have no problem with those 2 names being held in abeyance in the event that, heaven forbid, something catastrophic happens to one of the 4. But 5 men and 1 woman, one woman, I have a problem with. As far as socioeconomic concerns, when I went to look at that, retired, employed. That tells me about as much as I can figure out, through common sense. I don't want to know what the volunteers are making. I do not want to know what their salary is, what they own, what they don't owe, what they owe. I don't think the CERB should require financial scrutiny.
No, I
You
can't
may
be
say
certain,
that,
but I
but
think
the Act
there's
is saying
any
that there should be a cross-section in those parameters.
But to-
So
but
whether
to
you
some
want to know it
extent.
or not, we may be required to get that information.
But that's for the commission.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't see any requirement that you solicit economic information from the applicants. You're just to take your best attempt as a board to match. You just make your best attempt as a board to find out what you can within these parameters, but you're not required in any way, nor would it be appropriate for you to request financial information.
Can I ask you, if you had 3 of these 4 members over age 50, between age 50 and 60, or within 5 to 7 years of each other, do you think we're going to have a problem given the specifics of the age?
Do I think you're going to have a problem with that? I think that these the criteria that's set forth in the statute is really so vague. I don't see you having much of a problem in any event. But let me say this: without knowing the ages of the other individuals, you can only do, to the extent possible, what you can do. So unless I would know the ages of all, I couldn't even give an opinion on that. But I don't think you'd have a problem in any of that.
Yes.
Can I amend the motion that's now amended on the
Solicitor,
floor?
if there are members of the board that wish to go back to 4, how would they go about doing that?
Amend the amendment.
Is there a new motion on the table?
Why don't we just vote on this motion, and if it fails, go to a new motion?
That's as easy as anything
There
else.
you go.
Right,
They just told me we couldn't do that.
Right, yeah.
Okay, there's a motion and a second on the floor. If this motion fails, a new motion will be thrown on the floor if board so chooses. Roll call, Mrs. Liberowski.
Who made the motion and the second on this one?
Shar and Allen.
Allen, the second.
Now, which one is this one now?
For six.
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 You got it.
Allen,
Yes?
Hill,
No.
Mosey,
Yes.
O'Donnell,
No.
Kowski,
No.
Sure,
Yes.
Schilling,
No.
Sherpinski,
No.
Mengel.
No. Is there another motion, please?
Motion, go back to it.
Motion
We
4.
have 6 no, 3 yes.
The motion by Prokowski, is there a second? Motion to
Second.
return to the first selection?
Second.
By Hill. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Aye.
Roll call, please.
Hill,
Yes.
Mosey,
No.
O'Donnell,
Yes.
Kowski,
Yes.
Sure,
No.
Schilling,
Yes.
Sherpinski,
Yes.
Allen,
No?
Mengel.
Yes.
6 yes, 2 no, 3 no.
Thank you. Finance report, isn't it?
No, no.
I'm sorry. That's right. Members of the board, I recommend a motion and a second I will be in need of for the appointment of Mr. Don Hill, Mr. Vincent Sherpinski, and Mr. Frank O'Donnell to be 3 board members that will serve with the committee.
So moved.
Motion by Schilling,
Second.
second by Sherpinski. Questions? Who did you say? Mr. Hill, Mr. Sherpinski, Mr. O'Donnell.
Already?
Thank you.
Okay. I spoke volumes, didn't I? Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
You want to be on it?
Let me make a comment, since we've got this far, is that there'll be a letter going out to all of the members of this committee asking them to attend the first meeting at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, December 23rd, here in the IMC Center. I'll be giving that information to you later.
Wednesday, the 23rd?
Wednesday, the 23rd,
Don,
for the committee. Yes.
is this committee meeting open to the public?
Public can come, it's not, these meetings will not be advertised as such, it's not necessary, but we will not close the doors if anybody would like to attend.
Would you let board members know when they are, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Finance report, Mrs. Dunford, treasurer's report.
I passed the treasurer's report around the whole front.
You have enough?
Here. Take one. Is there anything against the $3 million?
These go out in the audience? These go out in the audience? Stafford, we need these ahead of time, at least so the audience has them. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Cash receipts for the year-to-date, $98,556,240.53. Cash disbursements year-to-date, $44,408,353.07, with a total available funds, $69,879,300.81. Sanctions for the month of November from the general fund is $1,397,516.90. From the payroll sanctions, $5,734,743.60. $8,258.71, and regular disbursements for the month of December from the general fund is $801,057.61. From the 1992 bond fund, $615. From the 1996 bond fund, $1,053,358.41. And from the 1998 bond fund, $36,026.79, for a grand total of sanctions and disbursements of $9,023,318.42. Transfers for the month of December total $100,355.46.
Good question.
On budget transfers, a motion, please. Motion by Schilling,
Second.
second by Hill. Questions?
I have one question.
Reva, do you really have to put $2.40 on there?
Yes.
Rhetorical. Don't answer.
There's an explanation for that.
I don't want to know, just, I thought it was funny. On the $98 million in receipts now, remember the comparison we had made earlier? Do you know where we are in relationship to total receipts? For example, we like at 95, 97%?
Probably around 95%.
Good.
Thank you.
Mr. Sharp.
Reba, on these budget transfers, we just got those in a recent packet. There's $5,000 instructional supplies and library books from Inglewood being moved to books and periodicals at Inglewood. Is that not an account that's professional staff periodicals as opposed to the student supplies and library books? And if so, do you have any reason why they felt the need? I mean, I'm just looking at these numbers as we have them here today, because this was...
This is 1100,640 is instructional, in the library. 2250
It's
is
moving
the
from
1,000.
610 and the 2250, 640. So
supplies is
so these will
640
be,
books.
these will not be the professional
No.
periodicals,
No.
which we also place in that. Okay. Just want to be sure, so we have an explanation for that. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. Food service report, Mr. Wood.
Food service report is based on an accrual method of accounting. This is the first time we've reported it that way, although we've been doing that since July 1. And it's for the period ending November 30th, 1998. Gross profit for the year is $422,575.32. Operating expenses for the year, $617,810.82. Other income for the year, $246,214. Net income for the year, $50,978.50. Cash balance, $798,968.80. Accounts payable and other current liability, $297,276.96.
I have a question, not related to the food report, but we didn't vote on approval of invoices. Did we? Did we?
There's a motion and a second.
Not for sanctioned invoices. Huh?
No, she needs the treasurer's report.
Oh, we didn't.
All right, make a
Okay,
motion.
wait a minute, one person at a time.
I'll
Ms.
make a
Liberowski,
motion.
we had a motion and a second on the budget transfer?
Mhm.
Yes.
You said there wasn't a vote?
Yes, there was. We didn't do the sanction and approval of the invoice.
Or I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Second.
Okay, motion by Schilling, a second by Prokowski. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Liberowski. Any questions about what on the food service report?
One question, and maybe it's the little thing. Isn't this early to be reporting a profit?
No, not anymore.
Okay. Terry, just to bring you up to speed, quickly, we had 9 years where we did not increase lunch prices. We reduced them last year by 15 cents and instituted that again for this year. and our participation is off the top of the scale. And as a result, and I've shared that with the board, and I will share it in the future, making year-to-date comparisons, month-to-month comparisons, but with reduced prices and promotions and greater participation, you happen to have greater profits.
Now we realize.
We don't usually report profit this early in the year.
We usually do.
Yeah, just keep it, did we in 95? No.
Because there was a strike.
There wasn't any.
We had a strike.
Okay, federal, state, and other programs, Dr. Venema.
No report.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, Dr. Venema? Solicitors report?
Yes, I have no report at this time, thank you.
Any questions to the solicitor?
You've been reporting all night.
Motion to adjourn?
What's left?